Alright, this is going to be a quick guide on the absolute most efficient way to farm Rasial kills. If you're looking to get the most consistent kill times and the highest kills per hour, you're in the right place. I'm going to showcase to you my method, which I've developed over the course of nearly 3,000 kills across my main account and Iron Man account. This method has averaged me a kill time of about 51.4 seconds and about an 18-second banking/conjuring time. This equates to a total of 69 seconds spent per kill, nice, and therefore about 52 kills per hour. Going over the preset, I'm wearing a full set of the first Necromancer's gear with a Salve Amulet, a Reaver's Ring, and a Zuk Cape. My invention perks are the standard best in slot perks as listed on the wiki. Some important things to note in my inventory are the 4 Necromancy runes and Ectoplasm, rune pouches that allow me to use Disruption Shield and Vengeance, expensive spices, which make my jellyfish heal me slightly more, a tier 90 death guard to use with the special attack, as well as a death touch bracelet which I wear sometimes during the final phase. I also have dreadnips which periodically stun the boss and make minion skipping in the second phase much more consistent. Minion skipping is important because it will allow you for your death skulls to solely bounce on Rasial. If minions spawn, your death skulls are going to bounce onto the minions and cost you some DPS. The pocket slot is an area of debate over which is better between the Jas Book and the Ful Book. Personally, I find that they're extremely similar, but one notable advantage of the Ful Book is that it is a consistent damage increase. No matter when the effect is active or when it activates during the kill, you're always going to be benefiting from that damage increase. The Jas Book can actually proc at some inopportune times, such as during the phase transition when Rasial is immune, when the boss is very low HP, or when you've already done the bulk of your burst damage and you're not going to benefit from a large Jas Book proc. That said, when the Jas Book does proc at a good time, it's going to store and deal a lot of damage, nearly always going to deal 30,000 damage to Rasial. So you have a chance at obtaining a really nice personal record. Taking those two things into account, I just recommend that you use whichever of the two books that you personally find the most fun. Myself, I enjoy the RNG of the Jas Book timing, and I've used it for the majority of my kills. Before we break down the rotation, it's important to note that I'm using the Conservation of Energy and Fury of the Small Relics. The third relic slot can be filled with your choice of Blessing of Heth to heal more from your food, Death Ward to take slightly less damage, notably during the final phase, or Persistent Rage to marginally speed up your banking time. Now, onto the rotation. At the Adrenaline Crystal, build up to 100% Adrenaline. Summon your Ghost, summon your Zombie, and summon your Skeleton. Enter the instance. As soon as you do, use Invoke Death and Surge. Optionally, you can Bladed Dive onto the same tile as your loot will appear. In the rarest of circumstances where you crit absolutely everything and are just doing insane damage, standing on this tile might allow your death skulls to bounce onto Rasial in the final phase, which would give you an extra hit. However, this almost never happens, so standing here is just a convenience to pick up your loot slightly faster. Let's quickly look at that again. While you enter the instance, invoke Death and Surge. While you're running, command your Ghost and command your Skeleton. This is going to line up for the target cycle timing. Next global cooldown, target cycle, throw your Vuln Bomb, use Death Skulls, and deploy a Dreadnip all at the same time. Now we're going to build back up to 100% Adrenaline by using Soul Sap, Touch of Death, Auto Attack, and Soul Sap again. Going to Living Death and Adren Pot on the same tick. You'll know you've done this right if you have 24% Adrenaline right away. If you're struggling with this, at the expense of some of your damage, you can use an Enhanced Replenishment Potion and or switch to the Supreme Invigorate Aura. However, I do not recommend this. After your Living Death, Touch of Death, followed by a Death Skulls as your second ability. Soul Sap to build stacks for the final phase, and Split Soul to start doing the bulk of your damage now. While Split Souling, I like to cast Vengeance, followed by a Bloat, one more Soul Sap into a Finger of Death, Auto Attack, Touch of Death, Death Skulls. This is the best time for you to use your Undead Slayer Sigil ability. Follow this up with an Auto Attack and a Finger of Death. And again, we're going to Auto Attack and now Soul Sap. This is now going to give us the full 5 stacks of Soul. During the phase transition, while the boss is immune to damage, you can now command your Skeletons once again. Now in the final phase, there are going to be a few strategies you could employ that involve improvisation, but as long as you're starting the final phase with a Death Skulls and a Volley of Souls, anything you do after that is going to kill the boss within 1 or 2 abilities. If you have 22.5% adrenaline or higher, you can use the tier 90 Death Guard special attack, or you can just stick to the 3 basic abilities that you have. In this example, I've started the phase by using Death Skulls, Volley of Souls, Finger of Death, and then switched to my Death Guard and used the special attack, at which point the boss died. There is also a strategy, which I like to call the Uno Reverse Card strategy, where you start with the Death Skulls, Volley of Souls, Limitless Sigil ability, and Reflect, at which point you can also equip your Death Touch bracelet. Now the majority of damage that Rasial is doing to you is actually negated and being reflected back to him. More often than not, he's going to die right around this time, so you can improvise the finishing blow with some of the 4 abilities that I mentioned earlier. And again, that would be your Death Guard spec, your Soul Sap, Touch of Death, Auto Attack, and if really necessary, a Finger of Death. Now all that said, let's go ahead and look at a full speed kill. Once you have 100% adrenaline, summon your Ghost, summon your Zombie, summon your Skeleton, enter the instance, invoke Death and Surge. While you're running, command your Ghost, command your Skeleton, target cycle Death Skull, Bone Bomb, and Dreadnip, Soul Sap, Touch of Death, Auto Attack, and another Soul Sap, Living Death and A-Pot on the same tick, follow it up with a Touch of Death, Death Skulls, Soul Sap, Split Soul and Vengeance, Bloat, Soul Sap, Finger of Death. Auto Attack, Touch of Death, Death Skulls, and Sigil, Auto Attack, Finger of Death, followed by an Auto Attack and Soul Sap. Phase transition, we're going to command our Skeleton, Death Skulls, Volley of Skulls, Improvisation, Finger of Skulls, Death Guard special attack, boss is dead. Hopefully this guide has helped you to get some faster and more consistent Rasial kills. And if it has, please be sure to share it with your friends, leave a like, leave a comment, and let me know which boss you'd like to see the next Optimal Rotation Guide made for. Thank you very much for watching, and see you next time.